Hey everyone, Miss Dempsey here. This is a guide for round 11 of the Nations Cup. Let's get this started. Start your lap on the left side of the track, that way you can start your first lap with a little bit more speed. You're going to look for this path that is on the left just before you reach the 50-meter mark, and you want to brake just before you pass it. Do a lot of braking control. You just want to get the car to rotate while slowing down, and you don't want to make any contact with the green turf. As you go through the second turn, gradually start to accelerate, just making sure that the car can still rotate and do not make contact with the grass. Then for the S's, it is all about throttle control. Just make sure that the car doesn't slide around too much, as that will cost you a bit of time. So just ease off the throttle for this turn, then do a little bit of braking. Just bring yourself all the way to the right side of the track, and you can take this turn flat out. Try to take this turn as smoothly as possible, getting on the curb if necessary. That way you can get a fast exit. You'll do a quick burst of braking before you reach the 50-meter mark. Do not get on the turf on the left. Brake before the curb on the left ends. Get the car to nicely rotate and slowly start to accelerate. Bring yourself to the right, and you want to brake just before you pass Lester the photographer that is on the right. Brake as much as you can in a straight line. Slowly ease off of the brakes as you turn in. Just let the car rotate, then slowly start to apply the throttle. Use a path that is on the right as your next braking point, so brake right around here. Slowly ease off of the brakes, slowly apply the throttle, then brake before the curb on the right ends. Just get the car to rotate as quickly as possible, carefully apply the throttle, and do not get on the turf that is on the right. For this upcoming turn, you want to turn in when you reach the 50-meter mark, and all you have to do is do a quick lift off of the throttle and do not get on the turf that is on the right. Finally, brake before you reach the 100-meter mark, so around 125 meters, you want to start to brake as much as you can in a straight line, slowly ease off of the brakes, be nice and careful with your throttle. If you have a good lap time, stick all the way to the right side of the track, and if not, stick to the left side of the track so you can build up some speed and start your next lap. But that is all for the lap guide. Let's go ahead and talk about the strategies. For this qualifying session, you have 10 minutes to try to get a good qualifying time. This 10-minute timer will apply to all races in this stage of the Nations and Manufacturer Series, except for the final round of the Manufacturer Series, in which that one will be 14 minutes. But that's another story for another time, so let's go talk about this qualifying session. So the tire wear is pretty high here. It's at times 18, so you do want to take care of your tires as you go through your outlap. You don't want to stress your tires out early on, as you might find it a little bit harder to get the grip that you need to go through some of these corners at a faster rate of speed. You do have a couple of high-speed sections, most notably in the second half of the track, so you do want to try to get the slipstream from someone, which will shave off a couple of tenths off your qualifying time, which can help you qualify into a higher position compared to getting a lower position if you don't get the slipstream. Just make sure that you give yourself and the car ahead of you plenty of space so you don't end up running into them and have to slow yourself down, which will end up hurting your own qualifying time. So if you recall at the start of the video, I started on the left side of the track just to try to give myself a little bit more speed to start the lap at a faster rate of speed. You want to do the same exact thing. Just bring yourself to the left side of the track, and if you have a good lap time as you finish your qualifying lap, bring yourself all the way to the right side of the track. If not, stick to the left side of the track so you can begin another qualifying lap. However, it is going to be a bit interesting, because if you finish your first qualifying lap on the right side of the track, you're going to be entering your second qualifying lap at a slower rate of speed. So because of that, and because of the tire wear, What some people might do is during the actual FIA session, they'll back out of the qualifying session when they're done with their first qualifying lap, immediately jump back in. That way they do another out lap, then they can do another qualifying lap. So if you go that way, you'll only have 2 chances to get a good qualifying time. But if you don't really care about that and you just want to just drive around and just try to get some good times, then you'll have 3 chances to try to get a good qualifying time. This race is a good start, so you want to bring the traction control to 1. That way you don't get too much wheel spin when the race starts, and shortly after the race starts, you can bring your traction control down to 0 or whatever you have it set up at. So for the race itself, you want to try to go for a no stop, as going through a pit stop takes a ridiculously long time to get a tire change. The thing that you do want to be careful of is with the tire wear. It is set at times 18 and the front tires are going to be taking most of that tire wear. So what you want to do is try to bring the brake balance towards the back of the car. You can have it at +2, so 2 points towards the back of the car as a start. If you can try to bring it even further back. +3 works as well. But if you bring the brake balance towards +4 or +5, so all the way to the back of the car, you can bring even more tire wear off of the front tires and a bit more to the back of the car, but you risk the car getting a bit more squirmy when you start to brake, especially on hard braking zones. So that's something you want to be a bit careful of in case you bring the brake balance all the way towards the back of the car. But all in all, the point is to try to make the front tires last as long as possible, and just by bringing the brake balance towards the back of the car, it's going to lift some of that stress off of the front tires. That way they'll last a little bit longer. The tire wear does start to become apparent during lap 6, so that's when you're going to notice that your time's going to slowly start to drop off. But either way, even if you're 2 seconds off of your best time on the final lap, you're still going to be going much faster than that of the one-stoppers, and I'll show you why right now. So here's a comparison between the 0 stop and the 1 stop. So on the left, I'm doing the no stop, the 1 stop on the right, and I have the clips evenly matched, so it's closest to the nearest frame. So the 1 stop is going to go ahead and enter the pit stop, while the 0 stop is going to go ahead and begin their next lap. The 1 stop is going to take about 1,000,000 years to get into the pit box because I think he got lost along the way. And just as he starts to get his tires changed, the 0 stop is already going through the first 2 turns. So by the time that the 0 stopper is completing the second turn, the 1 stopper is barely getting out of the pit stop and regaining control of their car. So there's going to be a massive gap between the 0 and the 1 stop, but because the 1 stop is going to have much fresher tires and the 0 stop is going to have pretty worn tires towards the end of the race, that gap will slowly close, but it's not going to be enough for the 1 stop to be able to catch up to the 0 stop. So the 0 stop is 8 seconds faster than the 1 stop, which is why you want to try to go for the 0 stop. Take care of the front tires, bring the brake balance towards the back of the car, starting at +2 or even +3. You can go down to +4, +5 if you're really brave and don't mind the car getting a bit squirmy, but once again, you just want to be careful if you bring the brake balance that far back. And before I go, I might get asked which car is better, the 86 or the BRZ, and to me, they're pretty much the same exact car. They do handle a little bit differently, but after doing a bit of testing, they were getting very similar times, so it's going to be up to personal preference. If you want my 2 cents, the BRZ feels like it handles better when going through the first half of the track, whereas the 86 feels like it goes a little bit faster, especially on the second half of the track. So once again, they're giving me similar times, so it's going to come down to personal preference. And yeah, so that's pretty much it for this guide. I'm going to go ahead and sign off now. So this is Mr. MCA wishing you a good race, and I'll see you in the next video.